That's from Willy Wonka, right?
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite childhood books, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Right, Ross. Ross is changing his seat. Changing his life.
Raise the testosterone level on this side.
Hey there. Even it out.
Even it out. All right. So, January is Abundance Month around here. We've been doing that for years that way. We started last week, and the theme is the door is already open. Now I'm going to do just a little brief recap of last week. So if you weren't here, you can hit the highlights, or if you were here, you just get to hear them again. Just a few little things. So last week was the door is already open. What blocks your belief? And so I asked, what blocks your belief? And I got a number of answers, but I boiled it down to two things. When I really started to hear the answers, one of them was fear. Right? Fear. Fear that somehow we're not going to have what we want in life. And the second one was unworthiness. I don't deserve it. Those are the two main categories of things that block us from believing that our good is available to us. Fear and unworthiness. I told a story, I'm going to tell it again, about a guy who wanted, for many, many years, wanted a brand new Porsche. He finally saves the money and gets it going. He got his new Porsche. He's in the car, he's driving, and he starts saying to himself, you see my door here? I can't believe I got this car. I can't believe I got this car. I can't believe I got this car. He crashed it. He shut the door on his own good by saying, I can't believe I got this car. Now, we say stuff like that all the time because it's like, wow, what we really want to say is, I'm in awe that this happened. But we say it, I can't believe it. He totaled his car because he couldn't believe he got this car. If you don't think your mind is powerful, think again. The door never really, spiritually, can ever be closed. But he closed it. He blocked it by saying, I can't believe I got this car. Closed that door. He didn't have the car anymore. And then there was a second piece, totally different story, but it's worth repeating. There's a really popular song right now by Ed Sheeran called Perfect. Some of you may have heard this song. If you haven't heard it, up until last week when I mentioned it, now you're going to hear it everywhere if you listen to the radio. It's on constantly. I flip around the stations and it's like on all the stations. He's talking about this beautiful woman who's showing up in this beautiful dress and how perfect she looks tonight. And then he says, but I don't deserve this. You know, we need to check those kinds of thoughts. But I don't deserve this. There you go. So worthiness and fear blocks our belief. And we need to work on keeping the door open. I also said last week that this philosophy does not teach that you can have everything you want. Yes, I agree. Richard said, damn. You know, it may seem like we're saying we can have everything we want. But the truth is, what we're saying is, we can have everything that we believe we can have and embody. Not want. Everything we believe and embody. And that believing and embodying is a lifetime work. I said last week, it's not one and done. It's never one and done. There's always another layer anyway, but just to say I can have everything that I can believe in, that's a lot of work sometimes. I can have anything that I can truly embody, that's a lot of work. So it's not true to say I can have everything I want. It leaves people with a false belief. Anything that I can believe and embody. I also reminded us that an abundance program, from my perspective, is not so much about getting abundance. It's about opening our consciousness to the truth that the door is already open. You hear that difference? To me, that's a big difference. You don't need to get abundant. You don't need to get more spiritual. You need to remember that you already are that and begin to consciously expand so we can have more of what's already true. That's really big. I also reminded us that abundance means so many things. Ernest Holmes talks about it as the stars in the sky and the grains of sand on the beach. We also must talk about it in terms of money and resources. You know why I know we have to talk about that? Because people get triggered. People get triggered by the topic of money, especially in church. And especially if you have the old religious teaching that says money is the root of all evil. Misinterpreted scripture. Obsessive love of money is the problem. AKA greed. Or making money your God. That's what that scripture is about. Not that money is the root of evil, but an obsessive love of it. There's the difference. So if you have that old teaching in your mind that money is bad, you need to start changing that immediately, or you'll never feel financially abundant. So this program, although abundance is many, many things, I am definitely going to talk about money and resources. And then lastly, I reminded us, there's only one source, and everything else is resources. Everything else is resources. That was last week, and using our consciousness, expanding our consciousness, so that we can have more of what's already true. Today, as you've heard from Mary, and as you heard from Dennis, we are using our imagination. Imagination is a really good thing. It's also parallel to the tool of visualization. So I'm bringing that tool in today. Ernest Holmes, he's using the word idea. You can say idea, you can say imagination, you can say thought, you can replace it with lots of different words. But here's what he says. Things, tangible things, are ideas in form. So let that sink in for a minute. Everything we can see, things are ideas in form. So this wasn't always a chair, this was an idea in somebody's head. This wasn't always a piano, this was an idea in somebody's head. Things are ideas in form. What else could they be? There is nothing from which to make things except ideas. In the beginning, we behold nothing visible. There is only an infinite possibility, a limitless imagination, a consciousness. The only act of this consciousness being idea. All right, I'm going to read this one part again. In the beginning, we behold nothing visible. So in your life, you may be thinking, I want more financial resource, but I don't see it. Okay, it's not in your bank account. It's not visible yet. There's only an infinite possibility. There is a limitless imagination. There's a consciousness. The action of that consciousness is idea. Whose idea? Your idea. So right away we open up to the idea that even if I don't see it yet, I need to open my mind, my imagination, my realm of ideas, my realm of consciousness to something greater, an infinite potential. This philosophy, if you've been around, you know it emphasizes the power of our thought, the power of our feelings, the power of our belief, the power of ideas, all mixed together. I don't care which of those words you like, you can pick them all. The power of that as our creative power. We are made in the image and likeness of the divine. After all, the divine is creative, and then so are we. That's our way. Ernest Holmes, paraphrased, says that whatever we think, whatever we feel, whatever we believe, whatever we visualize, whatever we talk about, whatever we imagine, whatever we act upon, those things are influencing and affecting our lives all the time. All the time. It's not magical. It's not a magical thing. It takes discipline. So it's easy to say, oh, well, I can just change my thoughts and magic is going to happen. It may feel like that after you practice for many, many, many years, but at the beginning, it takes discipline. I know it's a dirty word, discipline. I don't want to have to discipline. But that's what it takes. Discipline comes from the root word of disciple. And you're learning and you're practicing. It takes discipline. What I think, what I feel, what I visualize, what I talk about, what I imagine, all these things are influencing my life. If you're new, here's the real simple way to say this in terms of our abundance talk. Our thoughts of lack and not enough are manifesting and appearing as limitation. Our thoughts of abundance are manifesting and appearing as success and fulfillment. That's the simple way to say it. Now the idea of using our imagination and visualization has a lot of different aspects. Let me get the icky one out of the way. Worrying is using your imagination. Worry is using your imagination